Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to some more Planet Zoo. So today we're going to be going through our next part of the tutorial here. I told you guys that off screen I was going to be recording through the rest of the series basically, and then I was going to post-commentate over it because basically I just had a walkthrough that I was looking at the whole entire time. And when I did all of these videos, I was watching the walkthrough and I was watching it like at a slower speed because I was kind of trying to just copy everything they did. And in the end, I feel like I didn't really have to copy like they did because once I kind of got the hang of it and I pretty much knew what was going on, I didn't really need to copy it exactly like they had it, but I like to use their I like to use what they used as an example of what I could do to kind of help me out. I know I told you guys last episode that I learned a lot and it really helped me a bit when I was playing through this game on my own. And watching the walkthrough, it just helped me to like copy everything they did, the way that they did, to just kind of get a similar type of vibe to it. So the first thing that we are going to do, which is our next goal, I guess, that we have to do, is we have to put in 10 species, I think, 10 animal species. And the next species that I am going to go ahead and put in is going to be a snow leopard exhibit. So first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating the pathway, of course, that goes to the exhibit, and then after we do the pathway, we will work on the barrier itself. This is where it gets a little bit tricky for me because the way that they do the paths is a little meticulous, and I was getting kind of frustrated towards the end with it because they would make a path, then instantly get it all finished and delete it right after that because it wasn't like a millimeter to one side or wasn't like completely straight like it needed to be. And I thought that was a little too meticulous. I don't know why we were trying to get it as perfect as possible, but apparently it was supposed to be the most perfect thing ever for it to work when it didn't have to be. As you can see from mine and my perspective, it's definitely not going to be perfect, and I am okay with that. So again, I mentioned this last episode, but I am following a walkthrough that I saw on YouTube. I don't remember the name of the channel that I did the walkthrough on, but I will go ahead and link it in the description so you guys can check them out, because this is literally the only way that I was able to get through the zoo, was to do a walkthrough of pretty much the whole entire thing. Now once we get more towards the end of the walkthrough and the series in general, I kind of just did my own thing a little bit towards the end because there was a couple of points where I was a little bit confused as to why things weren't working for me that were working for them. So I don't know, it was a bit weird. But still working on the exhibit here. And also this is basically what you're seeing is what happens off screen. When I say that I'm going to do things off screen and work on things off screen, and then you see it whenever I come back on screen, it's pretty much what happened. This is pretty much what happens. I end up doing everything off screen, and I guess it would be better to show it on screen so that I could kind of give you guys an idea as to what I am doing exactly. So I figured I would just sit down and record the whole thing, and then we would watch it a little bit faster speed. So I did raise the speed a little bit on the video, so if it does go a little bit too fast, feel free to slow the speed down or pause it at any point in time. As you can see, again, with the paths, they decided to completely take out the whole entire path for some reason, not really sure why. I guess because in the end, they did end up making something over here to the left. But I didn't understand why we had to redo the whole entire fence. Anyway, it's me trying to be meticulous about it, which I guess you have to be whenever you play this game. So like I said, yes, We are going to be doing a snow leopard exhibit next. That is going to be our next goal there. I also learned a lot about this tool here you're seeing, the terrain tool. Leveling the terrain to your, like, I guess to basically your height or whatever, or whatever the base of the terrain is a little bit better, and it makes it work out a lot better. I know it looks a little bit ugly, but at that point, it's kind of like, would you rather have it ugly or would you rather have it functioning? And I kind of would rather have it functioning more than anything else. And I wasn't for sure as well if anything was going to go behind this barrier, so kind of why I just went ahead and extended it on out a bit. But it's not too difficult. It's just meticulous, like I've mentioned before. It is pretty meticulous. So as you saw at the beginning, I did adopt, what was it, one snow leopard? It was one snow leopard or two, I can't remember. But anyway, the negative side effect, if you guys do copy this exactly and your guests have negative reaction or whatever it's called to that facility over there, only thing I know to do is to push it back. I ended up doing that a little bit later on. I pushed it back a little bit, but for some reason covering it up with trees and buildings and stuff does not help. They still think it's negative. I struggled with that throughout the whole entire thing, really, was to keep it that way. I don't know why, but I struggled with that a lot. So I'm still working on the barrier, as you can tell, and also I want you guys to let me know what you're thinking as far as like the rest of the series goes, because like I said, the rest of the series is technically, for this zoo, is already done. I haven't started on the next zoo yet, but for this zoo, the rest of the series is done. And I was wondering, would you want me to keep it like this? Would you rather me skip through little things like this? Because I will agree, it does become repetitive when you're working on the same thing over and over and over again. But I kind of just went off of, like I said, what the tutorial did. And when the tutorial would basically do something 20 times in a row, I would do the same thing. So that's why it got to be a little bit annoying towards the end. But as you can see, our little walk down area here was apparently being covered with a lot of litter, and for some reason the guests just wanted to throw the trash there. So I'm gonna go ahead and place down some recycling bins to help out with that, hopefully, because there is way too much trash on that ramp. Way too much. But at least people are using it and they are going down to the flamingo area. That's helping a lot. But back over to the exhibit here. So we have to, well, next we have to fix the work zones because this is a new exhibit. So it's going to need a new work zone and a new area for our people to go into. So I'm going to have to edit an existing work zone to add that into it. And I will highly, highly recommend work zones. Work zones are actually very useful. You can see all of my work zones there. And basically what it does is it doesn't let the staff get, it doesn't let the staff get really tired and run down, because the staff does tend to get tired and run down quite a bit, going from different exhibits to different exhibits. So having work zones and having different staff assigned to those work zones definitely helps a whole bunch. So we're going to go ahead and put in the snow leopard exhibit into the work zone to help us out there. As you can see it clear right there. And then I think I had to edit some of the other ones because I think they limited about 3 exhibits, 2 to 3 to a work zone, which is very helpful. Also, I really wish I could stop doing that, but I keep mixing up exhibits and habitats. They call these habitats, and the exhibits are literally the ones with the little frogs and the bugs and beetles and all those different animals like that. I keep wanting to call them exhibits though, because that's just what they were called. Back when I played old Zoo Tycoon, it was called an exhibit, not a habitat. So now that they've changed it all up on me, it's taken me forever to kind of get back to where I need to be. But I ended up, I don't know what happened. I edited some of the work zones because I wanted to make sure that none of the animals would be left out. And I think I'd mixed up some work zones or something. So that's why I'm having to redo the work zone setup here a bit, because I'm having to try to match mine to make it look like theirs. So that's the only reason why I'm trying to fix it a little bit and get it working back to the way that it needs to be. Also, please let me know if this is okay. If you would like me to do commentary, I can do commentary, not really a problem. But if you would like to just watch the video in its entirety without me having commentary over it, then I can gladly do that too, and I could just upload this full video in its entirety without speeding it up and just have you guys watch the rest of it. So as you can see though, we have got the exhibit, all fixed up, and we have our snow leopard here, but we need to put it into quarantine. That's a big one as well. Make sure you put all your animals into quarantine before you just send them to the zoo. I used to do that all the time, where I would just send them right to the habitat, and they would always get sick and usually die sometimes. So definitely a good idea to put them in quarantine first, because some of them that I did put in actually got sick in quarantine. So I'm glad that they were there and not in the exhibit, so they could get the other animals sick in there as well. Okay, so next thing we need to do is, of course, put up the education stuff. That's a big part of this zoo, I think, is having education. So what they did is they would put 2 or 3 of these little boards, and then put 2 or 3 of the speakers around the exhibit as well. You just have to be careful with the speakers, because if they overlap, it can be an issue. I think I will fix the area here in a second, and then you can see what I'm talking about on the heat map. Whenever you increase the range of the speakers, if it goes into the other speaker, they'll say it's overlapping. It'll be a big no-no, so you don't want to do that. And then, of course, as always, I'm going to add in my benches, my donation boxes, and my recycle bins. So from what I've seen, which I haven't really paid much attention, you guys could let me know. From what I've seen, the guests do not use the benches at all. Have you guys seen that? Because I have not. I have not seen them use a bench at all. I don't know why we put in the benches. I guess for aesthetics and like looks or something. But I have never seen guests using the benches. Maybe I'm just not looking or something, or I'm just not paying attention. But I just usually see them standing around an exhibit. I don't see them doing anything else. But we finally finished up here. Now we need to go ahead and make the staff pathing so that the staff can get over to the habitat. Again, I keep wanting to say exhibit. I wish I would stop doing that. But we need to keep it so that the staff can get over to the habitat and place our animal once it is out of quarantine. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get started on the terrain for the animal. Of course, as you guys know, snow leopards, probably not a good idea to have them in the desert because they don't like the desert. Obviously, their name is snow leopards. So while we're waiting for quarantine to pass and we can get the animal out of the quarantine and into the habitat, I went ahead and worked a little bit on the exhibit itself. And then I'm going to place in, of course, the what we've been using pretty much the whole entire time is the same exact housing. I forgot what it's called. Oh man, why am I yawning? Not housing. What is it? Shelter. I think it was shelter. But we've been using the same shelter pretty much for the whole entire game. I don't know why they didn't choose anything different. I guess just so that it would match with the wood is all I could think of. But anyway, quarantine has passed, and now we can go ahead and send Snow Leopard on into the exhibit. I've also, as you can see, been doing research on my, on my actual exhibits. There I go again. I've been doing research on my actual exhibit exhibits, if I could speak, and they are actually better now, so we can get their enrichment up, because once you get them in there the first time, their enrichment is not good. So you have to basically do research to get them to where you need to be. And I was afraid that it would affect the affect everything if I didn't keep their enrichment up and their welfare up. So I went ahead and researched them as well. Plus, we had tons of money and cash to spare. As you can see, we have a whole bunch, so we're not short on anything. Also, we have placed in our snow leopard, so you could see it there for just a second. Not too long, but there was a completion. So that means we have completed another part of the gold star ranking. We haven't got the gold star ranking yet, but we have completed another task in the gold star area. So I don't know what was wrong with my game, because theirs was actually pretty simple and pretty straightforward. It was actually really straight. I don't know why mine wasn't, but I ended up curving it. Not really a big deal. But now it's time to put in a little bit more educational stuff, like these little, what are they called? Information boards? Yeah. Put in some information boards. These are kind of set up all around the zoo. Again, don't know what they do other than to just, I guess, give people information. I don't really see them looking at them. Again, like, I guess it's just the Zoo Tycoon girl in me, but I'm not seeing a use for a lot of this stuff, or they didn't add it as like a detail, but I'm not seeing a lot of people use these things. I don't know, I just don't. The only things that I really see them doing is like going up to the side of a habitat and being like, oh, hey, that animal looks happy, or this is a good view, or this is a bad view, and then protesting, of course, if they're like not in the correct temperature, or you put them in the exhibit and they give you like 2 seconds to try to fix everything. Also another thing as well that I was doing around the zoo, which didn't really matter, but did it anyway, I guess, again, for aesthetics, was placing these little lights in, because whenever it becomes nighttime at the zoo, you can have the lights to light up the paths and stuff. I think this does help a bit, though. I think it does help out a lot with making people stay after hours, because once it gets dark, they generally tend to want to leave because they can't really see anything. So I think the lights do help a bit. So I'm very happy that I decided to put those in there. Also, at the same time, what we're going to be doing is we are also going to be fixing the terrain and the exhibit, or the habitat, again, for the snow leopard. As you can see, definitely need a lot more snow. But the way that the snow works in this game is you can place it down, but it won't show up until you put some coolers into the habitat. So I went ahead and placed in a few coolers to, of course, keep the snow leopard cold and cozy. Desert is not the best habitat for a snow leopard, but we can make their little area where they live in absolutely amazing and cool and just the right temperature for them, while it's still 100 and something degrees outside. I'm not really sure what it is, because it says, I think, what does it say? I can't really see it. 42 Celsius is in Celsius. Sorry, I don't know Celsius. I would assume that's around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, if I had to guess. Not really sure, though. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the exhibit to... Oh, exhibit! Again, you guys! I can't stop saying it. I guess... Whatever. I'm calling it an exhibit now. That's what I'm calling it. I'm not calling it a habitat, because I can't remember. But we're putting in the snow as well. And a lot of the times, as you can see... So you can see we're on year 23 down there. A lot of the times when I'm going through the tutorial and I'm watching it, I pause my game while their game is playing in the background. And the reason why I did that was so that my years would not go up. Because I do have a little tip for you guys if you are wondering. So my animals in the past have died a lot, and you guys know this. Once we get to a certain year period of time, they tend to die off because they get older. So there's a setting that you can go to in the game. There's a setting you can go to up in the little upper right corner up there, as you can see. If you click that little gear, go over into the settings. I don't remember exactly where, but it's somewhere in the game area. It'll show like how often the animals will age up, and if you set that all the way over to 5, the animals will age 5 times slower. So I actually had 0 animals pass away in this whole entire walkthrough that I watched, and my whole entire time that I played through this zoo until I completed it. Woo, excuse me. Until I completed it, I had no animals passing away, and they also did not have as many offspring as they did in the past. You know how we had some animals that would have a lot of offspring and they would be too enclosed. There would be too many in their enclosures, and we would have to like either sell them off or something or release them to the wild. So I was actually happy with that because we didn't have to worry about overcrowding. We didn't have to worry about them dying, and it's so helpful. So I would definitely recommend you guys checking that setting. If you want to play through the zoo as a long version, then you definitely want to do that, okay? You really do. You want to change the age over to 5, 4. You can even set it to like 3 if you want. They'll age 3 times slower if you don't want to do it that fast. So I definitely would highly recommend that. It was very helpful, especially with completing this scenario, because I can only imagine how many would be dead if I did not do it 5 times slower like this. Okay, so next step, as you can see. And this here is what takes the longest amount of time to do, because I have to watch their video in pretty much 0.25 speed because it's so hard to keep up. I think they did what I did as well, and they went in and sped up their recording after they uploaded it to YouTube. So I had to slow mine down quite a bit to keep up, because this was the part I told you guys about that I struggled with, was having the plant diversity. So I figured in order to have the plant diversity, the best thing that I could possibly do in this situation would probably be to copy them exactly. So it's not exactly like theirs, but I pretty much got the layout of what they had wanted with rocks and stuff and plants and all that, and just placed mine where I wanted. I didn't place it exactly where theirs were or just like theirs was. I just kind of used it as a baseline for mine. So all we have to do is place in the plants and stuff, because as you guys know, with these zoos and exhibits and stuff, you have to have multiple plants and coverage and stuff like that for certain animals to have their overall animal welfare be up to a certain level. Because you can see over there to the right, they have the welfare of the plants, like the coverage and how many plants are in the exhibit. Again, like I said, I'm going to keep saying exhibit. It's just a habit at this point. So as long as you don't go above that coverage, then it's going to be fine. And as long as it stays in the green there, you're pretty much good to go. And it does take quite a bit, actually, before they have too many. Basically, if you were to take one of those trees and just place them all around the edge and just have a million trees in there, that would probably be a little over the edge, and they probably wouldn't like that. But this kind of spaced out like this makes it work a little bit better. And also, I'm not really sure what you guys would like me to do for this as well. So I think for today, because this episode is already almost 25 minutes long, I ended up, this whole recording took me an hour and I think 30 minutes to record this session here. And this stuff here that you're seeing right now, it's pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much just me looking at what they're doing, getting the same trees and plants and rocks and stuff that they have, and placing it in my zoo the same way that they have placed it in theirs. So other than that, everything's still pretty much the same. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna just go ahead and keep it like this the whole entire time. I think we'd be okay possibly skipping through some of this. I don't know. I feel bad. I'm like, do I want to skip through it? Do I not want to skip through it? I don't know. You'll have to let me know. If this is meticulous and you'd rather me skip through it, then I guess I will. But it's pretty much just this. So I think we will skip ahead just a little bit here as we place all of these in, and then now we're going to go and do the stuff for the habitat itself, like the food and whatchamacallit, the enrichment items, all that good stuff. Okay, hang on, sorry about that. I had to pause it for a few seconds, so I don't exactly know where we left off. But I got interrupted. But anyway, I think we'll skip through this part here because it is a little bit meticulous. Like I said, pretty much the same thing over and over. It's just putting in the weeds and putting in everything, and then here we are with the habitat part. Okay, now I remember where we left off at. And basically all we're doing now is we are placing in everything that the animal needs, pretty much. For enrichment, food, shelters, anything and everything, basically, is what we're doing. Anything and everything. But it's fine if you don't put it all in there, and it's fine if you don't put it all in exactly the way I put it in as well. Also, a lot of this is from other animals. So once you do research on one animal, and it has the same enrichment items as another animal, you're pretty much set. You don't necessarily have to do research on all the animals, but it is still good to do that. I would highly recommend doing that as well. It would be better, in my opinion, do it that way. I also think I shouldn't have gone exactly like they did, because, I don't know, I feel like when you come to a certain point, the habitat will look pretty much how you want it to anyway, so you don't really have to do everything exactly the way that they have done it. I didn't do that in the end anyway. But after that, we're pretty much good to go. We're pretty much all set. And now we have a completed snow leopard exhibit, and we have completed another checklist basically for the scenario, which was to put in the snow leopard, and after that it was pretty much nothing. That was pretty much all we had to do, and all I really did for this portion of the episode. I think we will probably end it here though. I want to continue. I don't want to continue it with the whole entire thing that I did off screen, because a lot of this stuff doesn't really matter. A lot of the stuff that I do after this is basically the only thing I'm going to do is on the left hand side over there where we have that path going to the left, as you can see. Only thing I'm going to do over there is I'm going to add in some more food and drink stands and a little sitting area and bathroom and stuff like that over there. Other than that, there's not really anything else that I'm going to be doing in this episode. So it's me doing what they did, but I went ahead and did the extra stuff. You could do it if you would like to, but if you would not like to, then please feel free not to do it. But the only thing that I'm going to be doing after this is, like I said, I'm going to be putting in the food and drink area over there to the left. We'll put in another, I don't think it's called a transformer. I think it's called something else, because if you research it, since we have to run everything on a different energy, we can't run it on power. We have to run it on solar energy and stuff. It's a solar panel, I believe. And I don't think the solar panels, I don't think people mind the solar panels. So you can place those and they won't have a negative effect. But over here, we are going to be placing those buildings and doing that. I think I'll go ahead and not put that in here. So I'm going to end off the episode here, because it is basically just this for like another 30 minutes or so. And then after that, pretty much the ending and we're done. And for me, the main thing that I want to do So I want to complete the scenario, and you guys know me, whenever I'm doing these scenarios and stuff like this, I don't generally worry about this at all. Like, I put in a few food buildings or whatever, but unless the scenario calls for me putting in enough stuff to where the guest happiness has to be like so many stars, then I'm not really too concerned or worried about it anyway. But if you do want to see it completed, I guess we can go ahead and do that real quick. Let me show you what it looks like when it's completed, and then we will end off the episode. So you can see I've added the little area here. I've also added some concrete, and I've added these wooden walls, which they don't look the best, but they do look better than just the like standard nothing. And it's really interesting how they have done these areas. I never would have thought about doing something like this ever. So I don't know, I just thought it was really clever that they did it that way. And I never understood why they did it. Simply just I guess just purely for their selves. Because it just seemed pointless to me, but hey, if it looks good, I guess that's a big plus for that. And also the little floor things and the roofs and stuff, like I would never think to do anything like this ever. But apparently they did. Also, we have new vendors, of course, when you place in a new area. Vendors, you can see right there. I have the solar panel, which again, guests really don't care. It doesn't have a negative effect on them at all. But that's it. That is going to be it for this part of the video. I have finished up the episode, basically, and I'm going to go ahead and end it by adopting a male snow leopard because I only had a female, and I wanted to do a male and a female of both species. But other than that, that's going to do it for the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Do you like it this way? Do you like it? Would you like it just, standard? Just want to see the whole thing? Want no commentary? What? I don't know. Just let me know. And if you don't, I'll continue to do it this way, and we'll just continue to do it this way the whole time, I guess, until we get finished with the scenario. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.